Fuck it. Let's crack on. Welcome to episode 2 of the Maladjusted Monkeys. I'm Tommy Archer, and we are currently sitting in the Tidy Whities Cafe in Ipswich. Our usual studio is currently unavailable this week, so massive thanks to Andrew for allowing us to. Well, we were meant to drink coffee, but we're a stein in, and we got a couple of. Did you get a rum and coke?
No, I'm going a beer because I'll be gone about.
Well, we got a beer and a rum and coke on the way, so. For Andrew allowing us to drink piss and talk smack in his cafe on a Saturday afternoon. And I'm finally joined today by my co-host of the Maladjusted Monkeys, Shane. Welcome.
Cheers, mate. It's good to be here.
Yeah, mate. Finally good to have you here.
Yeah.
And obviously, episode 1, you couldn't make it because of work commitments and stuff like that, so you weren't able to sit in and interview Jace. But I'm sure you've had a chance to listen to the episode.
Yeah, man. It was very lucky, actually, when it came out. Because at the time, I was having a really crappy week. And then when you messaged me to say it was out, and I almost didn't really want to listen to it because I was nervous. I was like, oh, God, how's this going to run? How's this going to go?
But I didn't want to listen to it, man. I was fucking nervous putting it out there.
But once I did, because I was having a shitty week and I was out with the in-laws. But once I listened to it, it kind of just it reminded me that why we're kind of doing this and getting into it, and it being able to identify with a lot of what Jace was saying as well. It's like, that's right. It got me out of my head. So it really helped me. So hopefully it will.
Well, I've heard everyone that's listened to episode 1 so far, I think we're up to 60 something downloads at the moment. And a lot of people after listening to it either message me or call me or see me at work. And the good feedback, and the first thing they always say is they can't believe Jason's story and the shit he's been through. So, but the next question everyone asks me is why the podcast? Why are we doing this? Which is probably why this episode's important, because we weren't able to discuss it in episode 1. But why the Maladjusted Monkeys?
Yeah. So it's been something that's been in the works, I think, for a long time. Going back to when we first met, we always kind of wanted to start something like this, but never really had a topic to.
Well, we did. The first thing we tried was a movie review. Well, not even a YouTube channel. It was just we put 2 GoPros in your car, drove around and talked shit.
Essentially what Jerry Seinfeld stole.
Yeah, so Jerry Seinfeld stole that now, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was unsuccessful, but. Yeah, you're right. It started when...
Well, we didn't post it. We didn't do anything with it. So it was
we just filmed us on a lunch break driving around.
It was never going anywhere.
Yeah. But I guess the reason we started this, for me anyway, to recap the last couple of years, you and me have known each other since our time in the military. Obviously, we did the Afghan trip in 2012. And then 2013, we discharged. Mm-hmm. And I went straight into the police after that. And... What did you do?
Well, you went the easy route, and then I did something a little bit more strenuous. I became a postie. Well, out in the front lines,
Well,
dealing with magpies and abusive old women. It was.
Well, I could tell you're stressed because I remember calling you once, and you're like, "I'm just at work at the moment." Oh, sorry, mate. You got time to talk? Yeah, I'll just pull over and have a smoke. So yeah, I do remember how stressful you were at the time. Mate. But yeah, obviously you went postie route. I went to police. And probably from that time, it took me a little while to realise, probably a year after we left, that I didn't feel right. Something felt off from leaving the army. Eventually went and saw a psychologist maybe a year and a half after leaving the army. And
yeah, well, I think I can remember a time, I think even before you went and saw someone that, someone called me up and was saying that you were having a hard time. And I think I remember having a conversation with you and you just didn't quite know what was going on or why, and
yeah, well, at the time you refused to think anything's wrong with you.
Yeah.
But when everyone else is telling you that, hey, you're acting like a bit of a dick, and you seem angry all the time. Thanks, mate. Our rum and coke has just arrived. Thanks, Clint.
If I knew the rums were going to be that big, I would have gotten one. Cheers, mate.
We're going to have to leave the car here. Thanks, mate. Then so I went and saw a psychologist, and then. Sit down with them. Okay, so tell me a bit about yourself.
Yeah.
I'd say I was in the army. Oh, did you go over to Afghanistan? Yeah, I did. Oh, well, PTSD, straight up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't... I never really bought that.
Yeah.
But I went with it at the time, and then months passed, years passed, relationship issues, poor choices, just feeling angry all the time. Every day was different, feeling up, down. And it's probably only the last few months. I spoke to another psychologist, and maybe, I don't know, because I'm getting older, I'm starting to understand myself a bit more. I'm starting to realise that, there may be another issue with modern veterans these days where PTSD is this label that gets thrown out to anyone who's served in the military or been overseas. But for me, it just feels like I'm starting to understand that it's like an identity crisis.
Yeah.
Do you feel like
Yeah,
that's
100%.
Yeah.
Because I went through the same thing. Like once we both discharged, and I moved home to Harvey Bay for a short period of time. And then moved back up to Brisbane with my partner, riding around the postie bike, killing it. But yeah, something just wasn't quite right. Like, didn't know what it was. And same thing, I really didn't think to go and see anyone or whatever. Just drink a little bit more and she'll be right. And
well, I remember, like after we got back from Afghan, there was that time where we were still in, and you had a room on base.
Yes.
And every morning I'd rock up to work at 7 a.m, come up to your room, and there'd be a bottle of empty Jamesons there. You hadn't slept. I'm kind of waking you from somewhat of a slumber then.
Well, it was pretty lucky that you and you, Kurto, and Vitz would come to my room before work. So I think at the time I was the only one living on. And there were quite a few times where you guys had to even put me in the shower and shave me and almost half carry me down to work.
Mainly just the face, but
but I appreciate the touch up in the other regions.
No worries, mate. But we'd have to wake you up and drag you down to the parade grounds and basically say, hey, wake up, you got to go to work. And that'd be every day.
Yeah, it wasn't great, and then once I got out again, like it was kind of even worse because you no longer had that thing in the military where it's like you got no option, you're going to work. Like it's a lot easier to call in sick once you're a civvy again, and
that's right.
Yeah, and so once I moved back to Brisbane, going with the postie gig, started drinking even more heavily, and after a few months, I kind of come to a realisation that I need to get out of Brisbane for a while, which is when I moved to Goondiwindi and with my partner where she was from, and did a transfer out there, and I started up with the auxiliary fireys out there as well, and kind of somewhat sorted my life out a little bit. I started seeing a therapist out there. Didn't have very many sessions. Same thing again, like latched on. Like as soon as I said I was in the army and I'd done a trip to Afghanistan, kind of latched onto that and wasn't really what I was kind of going there for. Like even at that time, I knew like one of the things that was reoccurring in my head was like, what's the point of life? What am I doing with myself? What am I meant to be doing? Like an existential crisis, really.
Yeah.
And then I think we may have talked about this past, but like a couple of books that I'd read, like I think it's Sebastian Junger's Tribe, and I can't remember his first name, but it's someone Brown. He was an ex-Cav officer, Long Shadow of Anzac, and they both kind of touch on that the tribe mentality of living in such close quarters with other blokes for such a long time. And to then come back into kind of normal society and then kind of, I don't know, negotiate your way through dealing with people in a, how would you put it? Like, it's a completely different way. Like, you'd swear and curse at each other and you'd talk to each other a certain way, but when you're, like you go to City Street, it's not the...
Yeah, you think about it, like going back to, that tribe mentality. So take our careers in the army. It was pretty short-lived. It was only just over 4 years, really. Well, that's not a normal 4 years. No. So if you want to talk about the tribe culture and everything, for 4 years, we were in the infantry, you're training every day, talking about ambushing enemy, killing the enemy, going to Afghanistan, doing your job, you're working in small teams. When you finish work, that's not it. You're still hanging out with each other.
No.
Even the training we do is... Looking back at it now, it's very strange. You don't even realise till after you get out, you look back at it. What's normal about doing the bayonet assault course running up to a target, yelling, in, out, stabbing it repeatedly, going, on guard, and then running to the next target while people are throwing smoke grenades on around you.
Yeah.
You know, and then eventually we do our time, we do our trip overseas, we come back, we get out, and they're like, righto, thanks for your time, go be normal again.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you've just been talking about killing and that alpha male culture.
Yeah. I mean, and I kind of want to make it a little bit clear, like, it's not as if, you know, especially while, like, even when we're in Afghanistan, you know, you're in firefights every day. I mean, I only got into, like, 2 ticks, you know.
It's 2 more than me, mate. That's 2 more than me.
But, you know, the whole time you're over there, you've got Tim Tams and you know, you can call your family. There's phones. There's internet.
Yep.
You know, it's not. It's a weird place. It's hard to describe it to someone who hasn't gone over there, because even though you have all these little creature comforts, you at the same time. I mean, because we lost one of our good mates while we were over there.
Yep.
And then in the same attack, 2 others died. So even though you feel relatively safe while you're over there, while you're in the patrol bases and whatnot, there's still that very real threat of dying. But when you come home, like, I mean, for myself, I didn't feel like I'd kind of even earned my gongs or.
No, well, I think that's another issue is the modern soldier, we compare ourselves to the Anzacs so much, you know, Gallipoli and everything like that. So a deployment these days seems so easy. But, you know, even though our trip, we look at it and go, oh, it's, you know, relatively easy. For a normal person going over there, that'd be stressful as. But we joke every day. You're joking about it. You know what I mean? Like, how many times I'd see you. I'd be like, Clubby, you're still alive, mate. You're doing well. I didn't expect you to last this long in the war.
Well, what was the last thing we always said we'd say, like, what's
the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
I'm about to roll out of base. I'm like, I'll see you next time. You're like, remember, what's the worst that could happen? I'm like, yeah, true.
So with all of that, the black humor, the way you'll talk about things, the things that you have to that become normal to you, and then you come back. And I mean, well, a good example of it is once I did move to Gundawindi, there was I was working in the post office there, and there was myself and the manager at the back, and there was also a part-timer who was semi-retired. And so, you know, he's just earning a bit of extra cash to go, like, to help fund his caravan trips around Australia. And so of a morning, we'd have to sort out a big miscellaneous bucket of mail. And if he didn't know where some of them went, he'd just throw it in a bucket for us to sort out later. And I'm like, well, if you just ask us where, you know, where does this go? Oh, you know, we'll tell you. And eventually you'll pick it up, and you know, it saves me a bit of time, saves everyone a bit of time, you know. Bit of teamwork, bit of camaraderie, you know.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, whatever. And then he just kept fucking doing it, and then I snapped, like, and I'm yelling at like a 65-year-old semi-retired bloke who, like, doesn't really give a fuck, but I'm just like, if you're not going to do it properly, then fuck off back to your stall.
Grab your shit. Fuck off. Did the knife hands come out? They would have.
Probably. I don't remember. But yeah, I think that was probably the first real indication to me that, like, I was struggling a little bit with assimilation back into.
Well, I had a similar thing when I went through the police academy, because we went straight from discharge, and I went straight in the academy almost. And it's the same thing, you know, we're in the army, we're doing PT every day, obstacle course, running in webbing, holding, you know, your guard and running around. And then go to the police academy, and the fitness standard is, you know, compared to that, is pretty fucking easy. And I remember,
actually, at the time you were doing the academy, I remember there was I went and sat in a public dunny. There happened to be a newspaper in there, and the front page was a headline saying "Cotton Wool Cops."
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. Well, I want to know why you're in a public dunny sitting down. That's more importantly, I'd like to know what the fuck you're doing, taking shit at public dunny. But episode 3, that'll be. But yeah, we're at the.
I don't know how else you're going to touch us. Anyway.
Yeah, who reads newspapers anymore? Yeah, so we're at the police academy. We're doing like the fitness tests, and it was that environment where, you know, in the army, if someone couldn't make the cut, you beast them until they either quit or they make the cut.
Yeah.
Whereas at the police academy, it was different, where you're in a squad and someone failed, like, doing push-ups or the obstacle course. So everyone bands around them and supports them, and they do it again, and everyone claps them. And I'm like, don't fucking clap him. I'm like, why don't you say what I was going to say? If this dude can't fucking make it, I'm like, fuck him off. And everyone looked at me like I was a psycho. I was like, Jesus, what's wrong with you people? I'm like, fuck this guy. And then, actually, I didn't realise it then that I had a problem. I still thought I was in the right. But now, 3 or 4 years on, now I realise, hey, maybe you could have handled that differently. Maybe I could have, instead of knife handing, maybe I could have clapped.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just assimilate it a little bit more.
Yeah, I still think fuck that guy.
Yeah,
but,
100%. Like, yeah. Well, anyway, that's I think that's points out pretty obviously where we're going wrong with shit.
Yeah. So what you said? You going off at a 65-year-old who's just trying to save money to go on a camping trip. That was when you realised, hang on.
Yeah, and then tied into that was at the same time, like I was in my relationship was starting to struggle because like the drinking was still continuing, and I just don't. Have never liked talking or opening up about feelings or anything like that. But so yeah, going in. I didn't last very long in it. I just didn't feel like I was getting anything out of it that first time. So I ended up just kind of giving up, and then...
This is the counselling?
Yeah, the counselling. Yep. And then kind of... it'd go in cycles where it'd escalate to a point where I'd do something bad enough that I would kind of go, okay, yes, I need to pull my head in, and I'd pull my head in for a little bit, and then it would slowly escalate again. And I think I went through... I'm still kind of going through that cycle, really.
I think we're still figuring everything
out.
That's why we're doing this, I guess. Like, we don't have the answers. We haven't completely figured it out, but
no, fuck no.
That's why we're doing this. I mean, we're drinking now. We said,
just
we should never,
just
a coffee. We should never catch up, talk about our issues over alcohol. Well, I'm a beer and a rum deep, and you're on your second stein.
Old habits die hard, really.
Yeah. Is this a double? Oh, Jesus Christ.
I should have gone. No, I'm glad I didn't go off the rum.
Well,
So what were your signs and symptoms? Like, what were your what did make you finally realise, or made you actually want to go and seek help?
Probably the big thing was, and she's here today, so I've got to be careful what I say here. Arguments with my wife, I wouldn't handle them properly. Like, I'd go if there was ever an issue. And it could be something minor.
So how long ago was this?
Oh, mate, not that long ago. Like, probably, we're talking months, probably. But this would have been happening the last few years.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like when you first realised, or the first time. What led you to the first time you went and like, fuck, nah, I need to go and talk
the first doctor I went and saw was a result of my ex telling me, you need to go talk to someone because it's like I'm living with a ghost. And that was just after we got back from Afghanistan, where I didn't want to talk to her, I didn't want to talk to family, I just wanted to talk to you and the boys. And that was it. I was at home and I just watch army stuff over and over and over again. Army docos, helmet cam footage.
Yeah.
But that carried on for years. It's only recently, like a month or two ago, that I've made a decision. You know what? Stop watching military movies, stop looking at old photos and stuff. Like, just start cutting that out because it's not you anymore. But yeah, it took someone else to tell me, hey, you're acting like this, go see someone. And then only recently, when I decided to go talk to someone again, it was, my behaviour again. You know? So what I was saying before, like arguments with the wife where it'd be over something little that probably didn't need to be an argument. But if I perceived it as like a weakness or something, she's looking at me now. If I identified what I would consider a weakness while we were in the army, then I'd latch onto that, and like we were saying before, you either beast it out of someone, so they either
tough love,
so they either get to your level or they quit. I didn't want her to quit. I just wanted her to get to my fucking level.
I see potential in you.
I see potential with you. I'm proud of you.
That's so funny because I used to do. I'll still do the same thing with Madison.
I know you do.
Yeah. And I like afterwards I realised I'm like, oh my god, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah.
And a lot of AJs I talk to these days, like after I was at a party recently, and it was after I did the first episode with Jace, and I was telling him about the podcast and everything. I was told him my theory on, PTSD. Obviously, that's a real thing with soldiers. I'm not taking anything away from guys who have that. but I think it's also a label that gets thrown at just about anyone who's served these days.
Yeah.
And he was telling me, I've been diagnosed with PTSD, and I told him about my theory of the whole identity crisis and not having that culture, and we just don't fit into civilian life. And he was like, yeah, I agree with you. And I mentioned, I go, just about every age I spoke to, they have relationship issues. They speak to their wife a certain way. And
yeah.
Went, oh yeah, I do that. And there's all these traits along the way, all these little signs I've noticed. When you catch up with your mates, like your AJ mates, you drink to excess. You all talk about the old days. We're all stuck in that past. Like, remember we all went out recently, like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It started off good, and then there was that moment where alcohol took over everyone,
and the scales tipped, and then we all slid down.
Yeah, and it just became really depressing.
I mean, it was a good night, but starting to get to an age where, I mean, especially for yourself, because you've got a young fella, and like that, myself and my partner, we're about to start trying for a kid as well, and it's like, especially the day after or the morning after, you're thinking, I've just wasted a lot of money, and I'm not in a really good shape to be dealing with my partner or my kid or
Well, and it's hard for guys who've just left the army. They're either still in or they've only recently left. You tell them these theories and they don't believe you at the time, because they don't have that experience or that time in civilian life again to realise, oh, hang on, I do have an issue.
Well, I think it's a bit of a vicious cycle, because like you were saying with that, that looking for weakness and weeding it out is I think it's part of that mentality of, like, if someone's saying those kinds of things about how, like, their culture, because especially drinking's such a big part of that life and whatnot, and if you kind of turn around and say, oh, I'm getting away from that or whatever, it's maybe not necessarily weakness, but it's it's like, oh no, he's just he's leaving the family now, he's going, he's diverting or changing his priorities, but it's like, it's kind of like, it's not me. Like, and I still go through that now, like trying to figure out what I want to do with my life and where I am, because I've re-enlisted and I've been back in for 2 years now.
Well, I remember how long ago was it that you re-enlisted in the army? 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. I remember when you were living in Goondiwindi and you were posted. I knew from phone calls you weren't happy, and then you called me and you're like, oh, I'm going to get back in. I was like, don't do it, mate. Don't do it. Why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what, man. After I got there, I had no regrets. Like, I was, because I got there a week early, and was in holding platoon for a week, but nervous. I was like, oh my god, what have I done? But like after the first couple of days, I was like, I made the right decision. Like, I think it was more the job than just being back in the army. But
so how long have you been back in now?
It'll be 2 years, July. 2
years.
In July. Quick. Yeah, man.
But I reckon, so when you first got back in, talking to you and catching up with you, I was like, I didn't know if that was the right decision for you, because it seemed like you were going down a funny part, like you were taking up the drinking again. It was like you were reliving the glory days.
Yeah.
But
100%.
But since we started catching up and actually talking about, hey, I've got an issue, and you saying you got an issue, and we're trying to be kind of working it out. Since you made that decision to talk about what you've been going through, you seem happier in that job now.
Oh, dude, it's ridiculous.
It's like you've got perspective now.
Yeah, and I don't know why it continuously surprises me, but I mean, well, that last time I called you, what was it, last Friday or whatever day, or Thursday, or whatever day that was, because I just had my second counselling session with a new therapist, and it was kind of funny, because we just started getting into like somewhat heavy shit from my childhood, and she goes, look, sorry, unfortunately, Shane, we've come to the end of our hour, and we're going to have to just take this up next week. I'm like, okay, too easy. I'll see you then. So, you walk out, you go and jump in the car, and it's like, I was just like, holy fuck, I don't want to be thinking, because it's like, there was shit I hadn't thought about in a very long time, or even.
So what'd you do after you left there? What'd you go and do?
I went back to work, got to work, and like, we were a little bit busy because we had to get a bit of stuff done, like non-techs and shit like that. And I don't know, man, like my head was just not in it at all. Like, I had all this really nervous energy. Like, I couldn't stop my leg from like, you jiggle your knee. Like, I'm just doing that all fucking day. And I think you messaged me that afternoon, or because I don't have reception down there. Once I jumped in my car, I saw a message from you, and I gave you a call, and I kind of opened up a little bit about how my day went
Yep.
and whatnot, and it probably wasn't until half an hour later that I even felt better. But like just having that conversation, having someone who understands kind of what I'm going through and being able to be open and honest with you about it, like I don't know why it keeps surprising me, but every time I do it, I feel better. So like hopefully I can keep remembering to do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was pretty fun. I don't know if I told you about it, but on the way home, I couldn't work out what it was. Like I just had this weird feeling, like something was different. I couldn't put my finger on it. And it was like it's like in my mind, I was like looking around corners, looking for something. Like there's something that just wasn't there, and I couldn't work it out. And it was kind of like when you know, if you sleep next to a water pump or something, or your childhood, and all of a sudden the pump stops, you wake up and you're like, what the fuck's going on? Like there's an absence of something. Something's missing from the thing. And it wasn't until I got home that I realized that voice in my head that like pretty much all day was just like, it's all fucking pointless. You should just neck yourself. Had stopped. I was like, that's so good. Sweet, I've got to talk to Tommy more often.
I know I shouldn't laugh, but fuck, that's
no,
funny.
but I think that, I'll finish it up with.
I hope there's I know there's a positive spin because you're still here and there's no belt around your neck.
So I had to go to the shops to get dinner, and there was some. I was trying to remember it, but I can't remember what the pop song was. But there was one of the older ladies that was working there walked past me, and she was humming along to it. And there's like you know what I'm like, I fucking hate pop and all that crap. But she was humming along to it and like, you know what, that's really nice. That's really, what a beautiful world we live in. Like, you know, she just whistle while you work. What, this is awesome. This is fantastic. You know, like just that 180 from like, oh yeah, so if I'll get home before Madison. I've got a bit of spare garden hose at the back. I'm pretty sure there's duct tape in the bottom drawer. If I park on the other side of the highway, that way she won't find me.
Jesus
you know,
Christ.
yeah, so like that 180, like, yeah.
Well, this took a turn.
Yeah. But I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I want to do this podcast is I feel like a lot of people who talk about, and I know you've said this before as well, is like who Beyond Blue, Black Dog, I think it is, or...
You're talking about
or
like the men's health.
Yeah, men's health and stuff like that. I mean, they do amazing work in everything they do, but I don't know, there's something that anytime that stuff comes on the TV or I see it, I shy away from it. I don't want to think about it because it's just so serious and... that's not... Especially for our community, like as in military or law enforcement or emergency service. I know that's not like you see those ads and it's so serious, and it's like, well, I don't want to go to a meeting and talk to someone seriously about this stuff. Whereas I'd rather talk to you or the boys and have a laugh about it and go, hey, this is what's going on. Like you just did there, mate. Like, obviously that's a fucking serious issue. A serious thought that went through your head. And like I am seeing someone to deal with this shit.
I'm not going to...
So that's also... You can't just joke your way through this shit.
I'm not going to sit here and let you get pissed and go, right, mate, well, thanks for doing the podcast. There's your keys, your car keys. I know you got an hour and a half drive back. Hope you don't fall asleep. I'll see you next episode. Like, obviously we have a laugh and stuff, but I know you're seeing someone, and that's how we deal with it. We're open, but we have to do it in a funny way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just part of it. Like, if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
Yeah. It's like, again, you talked about Beyond Blue, and then there's our way of dealing with stuff. That's...
Well, no, there's a place for that. I think it's just like in terms of how people get into therapy or how people perceive... Because actually, while you were talking to Jason in the last interview, where I think he referenced how he'd seen those ads on television for, you know, these are the signs of depression, and he said, like, that's not me. Like, nah, that's not me. Because, like, it's... I think people think, like, you're like, if you have depression, you're a fragile teacup. Like, you got to talk, you got to be, like, real careful, real calm. Like, oh, no, you'll fucking shatter and fall to pieces. And it's not like I still go to work every day. Like, I put in, like, it's you just own it and go, just every now and then. I mean, that's just how I work through it. It's not going to be the same for everyone. Like, I'm in a certain stage of this process, and every now and then you just need to take a moment and go, hang on, I feel like shit today. Give me a sec. And like, that's what's working. Social media at the moment, you know, it's all, everyone's like, oh, you gotta get out there and do a workout and
stick to this diet, and you know what I mean. You see these posts, and everyone's like ripped, and like, yeah, I fought depression. Look at me now, I'm ripped. And, you know, hashtag Motivation Monday, make Monday suck you off and fucking attack it. It's like, fuck that, mate. Like, I'd rather sit here like we're doing now.
Yeah, I'm sure that works for some people.
Yeah, it does work. And
Yeah.
obviously, I'm not saying health is an important thing. You definitely work out and eat right. But I'm not gonna. I feel like it's putting a false sense of what's the word? Like you set this goal for yourself that's not always attainable. Like if you like, and this is from my personal experience, if you're really down and I'm scrolling through social media, I'm looking for help, and then I see this like jacked dude who's on every sub, and he's like, yeah, I just fucking woke up on Monday, did a workout, now look at me, I'm fucking killing it. This can be you. I'm like, fuck off, mate. Like, no, I do not feel like doing that. Like, I'd rather catch up with someone, talk about my problems, like we're doing now, and then I'll get through it, you know. And I think that's what everyone's putting this stigma of. Oh, you got to work out, and you know, all these fitness groups get together, and your mental health will improve. And yeah, it will to a certain degree, but there's a point where you do need to talk about what's going on.
How the fuck do you even start that though? It's like, you know, you're just feeling like a bigger piece of shit because you're not going to the gym 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to get over my depression, and then I miss a workout and eat a pizza. I'm like, oh god, babe, where's my belt? You know, like.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of hoping, like, because I only want to, like, I'm very selfish. I just want to get something out of this. I enjoy talking shit, and maybe we'll work through some stuff together. But I mean, hopefully, anyone who listens to this might get something out of this, and like just understand that like it's not. It doesn't always have to be serious. I mean, like, it's the therapy and all that. It's whatever you make it, like, and it's not
exactly for us. This is therapy.
Yeah,
like we're getting through. Like, this is us working out. We don't have the answers.
No,
like, we're definitely not experts. I'm drinking a double shot of fucking rum right now on a Saturday afternoon after finishing night work at 6 a.m. Like, and then I've got to look after my kid later on. So you know what I mean? Like, do I have the answers? Probably not. You're probably not going to look to me for the answers, but you know, we're working it out.
No, yeah. So hopefully, yeah, like, it's getting. The hardest thing I think is just taking those first steps towards like actually recognizing it and seeking help, and kind of realizing that once you're over that first hurdle of going and talking to someone, even if it's not necessarily a psychologist or a therapist or a counselor, if you have anyone that you can just go and talk to and go, this is what I'm going through. I don't want, you know, necessarily treat me differently or I want time off work or anything like that. It's just I need to get something off my chest. Like, you can kind of, if you can keep that going, that's what's helped me anyway.
Yeah, and I think I agree with you. And for me, it's like I said before, owning it. Like, if you're going through something, you feel, you know, you've got depression, you talk to someone, fuck it, don't shy away from it.
No, lean into it, let it do the work.
Yeah, lean into it, man. Let the hill do the work for you. Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So, you know, when people, since that first episode, said why the podcast, I think that's it. Obviously, we've both got that military background. Like, you're still in. Now I work in like the policing community. It's the same in emergency services. Like, there's so many people that are burnt out that are going through something. But no one says anything.
Well, I think that may be the one thing that's starting to change, and like it helped me when I got back in again, was starting to see a therapist again, and they helped me get through the end of last year, and it's kind of like realizing that just because you're going to see a counsellor doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get taken out of your unit or out of your team or anything like that. It's just like, I just need a top up of motivation, or I just need to get something out of my head because it just keeps going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I've found, especially in the army now, my boss and my sergeant, holy shit, they've been so supportive of the whole thing, especially because I came out first and said, look, this is what's going on, this is how I want to tackle it. They're like, yep, 100% support you. And even after that, I had another sergeant come up to me and go, you know, how you going? I've been going through the same thing. I'm currently doing this, that, and the other. And it's like, holy shit! And all of a sudden, like, I think you might have been saying the same thing the other day. Like, you know, there's a lot more people. Like, I would never have pegged this guy who come and talk to me as the type to go and see. Like, he's one of the most switched on guys I've ever met in my life. And he's like, yeah, going through the same kind of thing. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So, you know, it definitely doesn't preclude you from doing anything that you want to do. All it is a matter of like, shit, I just need to go and talk to someone occasionally.
Yeah. And I think like military, emergency service, everyone's catching up realising what we do, whichever role you take, it's not normal. Like I said before, what's normal? Take the infantry role. Like we're talking about the best way to ambush an enemy, the best way to clear a battlefield and fight through, and then when you're out of rounds, attach bayonets and start stabbing people. You know, we're in training, we're staying awake for 3 or 4 days, digging pits, getting attacked, and then when you're not training, when you're at your battalion, just day to day, there's that alpha male culture where everyone's trying to be the biggest, baddest soldier ever, and
and it becomes just normalized in your head, like that's normal.
Yeah, that's normal. That's how normal people act.
And I think that's why it's so hard to.
This is an indicator. Thanks, mate. A couple of waters now. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's an indicator for why we don't. It's so hard to go back into a civilian role and understand that people. If you're working in some boutique somewhere, you can't yell at someone and expect them to hang around. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and that's I think for the modern soldier now, that's getting out is you do need to look at your behaviour, because I think that's the big thing is we're so attached to that culture. Yeah. It's easy to miss. We have this romantic view of it when we look back at it, but everyone's relationships struggle. They struggle when to find work. Like that bloke I was saying before that I was talking about that party. He was saying that he struggled a bit with interacting with normal people. And there was a thing I said to him that I did and that he agreed, where when I first got out, multiple times I was living near Carindale at the time. I'd go to the shopping centre. I'd be by myself. I don't know what it was. I'd get this moment of panic because it was just too crowded. And I'd always go to a bookstore to the back corner and I'd just stand there with a book for 10, 15 minutes to calm down. Yeah. And he said he did the same thing. I'd come in where there was a bookstore, but he'd panic in a shopping centre. And it's like, there's obviously something going on. I don't think it's nothing we were exposed to overseas. It's just you're surrounded by people that aren't like you anymore, and we feel like we don't fit in. We've got our own language, the way we walk, the way we talk, our mindset, everything's different. And then we're thrown back into civilian life, and we just don't feel like we fit in anymore.
Well, we don't. I mean, and a lot of the time you get jaded and you get out, but half the time I think why it doesn't. I mean, you had your plan and you stuck to it, but I mean, even that, because I was about to say, have a plan and that'll help you get out. Because I was like, yeah, I'll become a fiery. That'll work out for me. Well, it didn't.
Don't be so hard on yourself, mate.
No, but even with the most carefully crafted plan, you get that job and all the rest of it. Like you were saying, there's that behavioural side of yourself that you're going to have to come to terms with, and you're going to have to realise that people will not, they're not going to tolerate or put up with you talking to them in the same way that you would someone who's not, picking up the slack back in your whatever unit you come from.
Yeah, that's right. And it's something it takes time. You can't do it by yourself. Because we have such a biased view of how people should act, what the world should be like. It doesn't work. For me, I was lucky enough to go straight into police, which is a paramilitary kind of thing. So it was an easy transition work-wise, but you're working with people who aren't military. So personalities can clash, but also now I've got a family now. That makes you realise, hang on, my behaviour really isn't helping anyone here. So it's hard for vets that get out and they're young dudes that are just single. It's going to take them a while to figure out that not so much the culture's the problem, it's just they're hanging on too tight to what we had. And that does the tools we use when we're in the army to fix problems aren't the tools that work on the outside. You need to pick up some new ones. We need to acquire some new tools to deal with problems. You can't use the same tools in the army to deal with issues with your relationship.
Exactly, yeah. Going back to what you were saying earlier about how you recognise a problem in your partner and you're like, well, the best way to sort this out is I'll give her a bit of tough love of
When we say tough love, not physical, okay? I just want to confirm there is no domestic violence. When Shane says tough love, I'm referring to get over your problem. Okay? I'm not talking once we're warriors, Jake the Muss style tough love.
No, she cooked the eggs. It was fine.
She did cook the eggs. It was good.
No,
it didn't escalate.
No. When I'm saying tough love, I'm talking about it's okay. Well, for example, if my partner is having issues at work, and and all she wants to do is just vent, and that's all she needs. She doesn't need me to fix her problems for her.
Yep.
Which is why I think a lot of males do that. Is that if your partner's telling you a problem and you're just like, oh, well, simple, just say this, that, and the other, and then the next day she's coming home, she's telling you the same thing again. And it's like, did you do what I told you to do?
Yeah.
Did you do what I told you to do?
Yep.
And but they're not looking for a solution. They just want to vent.
And we're not used to that from our old culture. It's like, okay, there's a problem. Here's a solution. Do it. Overcome it. If that doesn't work, then you quickly find the next solution and try that. You just keep trying to overcome it. But yeah, it's so hard to work around when you're used to that culture and you've been surrounded by people that think like us.
Yeah, man.
That's the other thing. Like, we're surrounded by all your mates think exactly the same. We all talk the same, and then since we left, we don't get to see each other all that much. All our core group of mates. Remember we called ourselves a family. Every day we'd knock off work, and all you boys would come around my house out at Kedron. Someone would put their hand up. Every night it was different. Yep, I'll cook dinner tonight, boys. And we'd all be at my house. Someone would cook dinner and we'd just talk smack, normally about work. And then that's gone. Yeah. And then you've got new people around you that don't talk about the same stuff. Don't talk the way you do. You go, oh, here, I've got a good joke for you, and then it is completely inappropriate. You're like, fuck, what's wrong with you guys? Do you want me to? I'll repeat it and say it louder. You're like what? Why is everyone looking at me like I'm nuts? Yeah. But in short, I think that's So the podcast idea is us dealing with our own issues, trying to figure it out, but trying to get something out of anyone else we have. Obviously, we had Jace in the first episode. No military background, no emergency services background, but I think depression is depression.
Yeah, affects everyone.
I think, and from what I've heard from the feedback, there's a lot of people that got something out of that. So that's kind of our plan, I'd say, for this, is to talk to a wide range of people about going through it and us getting something out of it, but also for the person we're interviewing to get something out of it, and for anyone listening, hopefully to get something out of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I think where we're going to take it into the future is trying to continue to get interviews with people from emergency services backgrounds and people not necessarily with those kind of backgrounds. That so more so for us, more so for me than anyone else, because I'm a selfish person. But
yeah, I've always said that.
Yeah, that's true. To try and get something out of it, like how they deal with things, or any solutions that they have had, or their experiences, and try and learn from what other people have already gone through. Because I mean, there's a lot of people on social media spruiking awareness, and I think the time has come and gone for awareness. I think we're all quite aware
we're all aware
issues exist in the world, and that the world isn't a fair place, and that there are issues, and
we don't need you to do 100 fucking burpees or push-ups. Yeah, filming yourself. We're all aware, mate. Sit down. We're all aware. I don't know what you say. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sick of that shit. Like,
every time it just makes me laugh. Like, I don't know.
I know exactly. You pull the face. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, like this, like you're saying, this isn't a place where we're raising awareness. Everyone's aware. We just want to figure it all out and talk about what's going on. So I think that's why we want to do this, and we've started off strong. We're talking to Jace, and this episode's more talking about our issues and why we're doing it.
And hopefully it's a bit of a indication of where we're going to take it, how we plan to kind of keep the what do you call it? The style of the show, I guess. Like it's a bit rambly. It's a little bit all over the place, but hopefully it comes across as just two guys just trying to talk through some shit, and then we'll get some articulate people on who can.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be good.
Yeah, maybe people who
more people like Jason.
Yeah, we need more Jasons in the world. Yeah. Bless us. Well, mate, I'm done. I think I'm one of the waters now. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, that's episode 2 of the Maladjusted Monkeys. Thanks for listening. Like, share, subscribe, and Shano, drive safe, mate.
Cheers, mate.